Well, welcome back, Maniacs. Let's see here. Make sure that is looking good. All right, so as you can tell from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about the coronavirus and vaping. And I was confused or concerned, and so wanted to do a little bit more research because I'm hearing more and more stories about it. And so I got to digging around on the internet, and the good news is there is no scientific proof, no scientific diddly squat for the coronavirus getting made worse by you vaping. Now, smoking, yes, they found that, yeah, of course, with smoking, you're at a higher risk, but then you're at a higher risk for just about anything and everything when you're smoking, right? So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about, because I saw in an article, teens who vape may be at more risk for serious infection from coronavirus, and here's why. So, I got to researching this article, and something I kind of wanted to touch on just a little bit is we've been told in the vaping community by different reviewers and different people that perhaps we should not click on the links to stories like this because it pays, pays whoever money or whatnot. But I'm starting to think that was a bad idea. We've been letting them get away, run ramshot over us for years now. Every time they say something, we don't say anything back. We just accept it and move on. And so I think, I don't know if there's any good that comes out of doing any of the comments or whatnot, but at least we're getting our voice out there instead of it just being a bloodbath, as it were. So I wanted to touch on some of this article, and I've got some notes here. And what I did is I researched the people who were quoted in the article. So we've got one person by the name of something Jaspers MD. It's Lona. Lana, that sounds about right. Lana Jaspers. She is a professor of pediatrics and microbiology and immunology at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And I've done some research on her, and here's what's fucked up, people. She's legit. She is she's a smart person. She got all her degrees and stuff, and she doesn't talk sideways out her head about most things. And that is, that's what makes it hard, is the fact that she doesn't, she's not stupid. She's not even a little bit stupid. She's actually a pretty smart person from all the research that I could do on her. But she is a strong proponent or anti-vapor. She does not like vaping whatsoever. And she has two teenage kids, so part of it is her maternal instinct or whatnot, wanting them to vape herself. But okay, so, but what I wanted to read is some passages out of this story, and there's another doctor that we're going to be talking about, and once again, he looks to be a very bright, smart person. But I think, as we all have known in the past, just because you're smart doesn't mean you're not stupid. and I think he falls underneath that category. So this is from the Dr. Lana Jaspers. Again, I'm pretty sure that's her name. So everything we and others have shown in is that vaping causes a suppression of respiratory host defense function and overall respiratory immune dysfunction. Rodent studies have shown increased severity of respiratory viral infections in animals exposed to e-cigarettes. We now have data showing that in humans, e-cigarette use was associated with changes in respiratory immune responses that are indicative of immune suppression. All right, so that is true. She is absolutely 100% positive, but there's a caveat there. The caveat is where the data is showing this is only for one chemical and one chemical only that's in e-cigarettes. It's called cinnamaldehyde, and it's what's found in cinnamon flavored vaping, and it has shown that in their research that it actually will damage portions of the lungs. So she is 100% correct. And so I feel that, I mean, this is a learning opportunity for us. We have a valid scientific person who says that this one particular chemical is not maybe so good for us, and I think we should really pay attention to her. But here's the kicker: it's only in one flavor. It's kind of like the whole diacetyl scare thing there a few years back. It's not really in everything, and so to try to ban everything because of one particular thing, I think is kind of stupid personally. But anybody who's been in vaping any length of time knows that cinnamon flavor, like a cinnamon red hots or something like that, if you never could use it in a plastic tank because it would discolor the plastic and eventually the plastic would crack. We all knew this. And so I'm not actually surprised that that has maybe some negative effects on our lungs. So just because someone's anti-vapor doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong all the time. It just means they're wrong about the wrong thing. And at the end of the day, what we can take away from that is, okay, even with the cinnamaldehyde that's in there, it's still less dangerous than smoking a combustible cigarette by a crazy magnitude. So that's the first thing we'll talk about. So she is right, but she is also wrong. But that really has, and that may have a bearing on the COVID thing, but not so much. I mean, there's no link between the two. It's not like cinnamon is a number one flavor. It's actually pretty low selling flavor. All right, and then everybody keeps mentioning the whole youth vaping epidemic, which I think we've proved time and time again. There's not really an epidemic, but apparently these people don't want to listen. They can be and once again, it comes back to, you can be as smart as you want to be, but you're still freaking dumb. It kind of makes you sad. Kind of makes you sad that there's people out there who have got more common sense than someone who went to school for years and years and years. It kind of makes your trust in the academic process kind of doesn't make you feel good about it. And then, I mean, it goes on to say, and you've got that headlines, you may be at more risk for serious infection if you're vaping. But even with that headline, Jaspers can't yet confirm with certainty that young people who vape are in more danger. Well, then how the hell did we get the title of this piece? If you can't confirm it, then why are we writing stories about it? I don't understand why people do that. It's just stupid. Um, Now, apparently, there was a someone on Fox said something about vaping can actually prevent illnesses. That is incorrect. And Dash Vapes said a little something about it, but there's a common myth in the vaping community that because we've all heard that PG was used as an antibacterial in hospitals. And so that would keep staph infections and other bacterial infections at bay in hospitals. And that is true. It actually happened. However, a virus is not bacterial. And so, well, that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that's a very high level of PG. And unless you're vaping in 80/20 PG-VG ratio, you're probably not seeing any benefits of it, because most people today in the vaping world, they use, either Nick salts or high VG juices. And the high VG juices, for that very reason, don't have very much PG in them. They don't. Most of them don't have any actual PG in them. Most of the time you see that ratio on there in 80/20 is you have 80 VG and then 20% everything else. And most of the time your flavorings are they're in a PG solution, so you have to call them PG. But it's not actually propylene glycol that you're adding, you know what I mean? So you're not seeing any health benefits here. So that is kind of a really big misconception. Yeah, it was used in hospitals, but it was an antibacterial, not an antiviral. So if you're one of those people who are out there vaping straight up PG, well, congratulations, you probably won't get strep or tuberculosis, but you'll probably still get a virus of some kind. You'll still get the flu. Even I've used that argument with the wife. Well, I vape. That's why I vape so much, so I don't get sick. I do it tongue in cheek, but some people actually believe this. So let's put that one to rest pretty immediately, okay? And then, but these people are stupid. Where is my other idiot? Where is he at? Am I missing a page? Okay, so the next person we'll move on to is okay, the dude's got a Greek name, okay? And I'm going to butcher his name, and I do apologize to him. I'm not trying to butcher your name on purpose to make you look bad or to make myself look better or any of that shit. Damn, your name is tough. It's Panagios Galliot Satos. Panagios Galliosatanos or something like that. He's a doctor at Johns Hopkins University, which is not your local community hospital. It's actually a well-regarded facility. People believe it is one of the better ones in the United States. So he's not a dummy to get to working at Johns Hopkins as a doctor, and he's got all kinds of where is he? Shit, I can't remember what he's in charge of, but he's in charge of something. I have to pull that up. But most of the things that the good Greek doctor, and I'll just call him the Greek doctor. How'd that be? That way I don't have to butcher his name every damn time. His main argument is that you should not compare, and the reason we're bringing his name up is because he added something to this article, and that's one of the things he said here is the dumbest shit ever. But upon researching him, he's very anti-smoking as well. So is the Jasper's lady. She's very anti-smoking as well. But they seem to have a misconception about how you should be looking at vaping. So what they want to measure vaping against is they want to measure vaping against someone who has never smoked anything in their life. That's what they want to measure it against. And to that end, because vaping is obviously carries some risk and some harm, obviously, which is something that we've maintained as a vaping community for many, many years. It's harm reduction, not harm elimination. But they're comparing it to someone who has never actually inhaled smoke or pod or anything else, right? And that's what they're basing their dislike of vaping on. When you compare it to cigarettes, they'll say all day long, well, yeah, it's less harmful than cigarettes, but they'll say, but it's still harmful, it'll still hurt you. And I think they're missing the point. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing the point of, is this isn't a product. And as far as I know, and hey, maybe I don't know every reviewer out there. I don't know every video that's ever been put out about vaping, but I'm pretty sure that I can say that no one in the vaping community is encouraging someone who has never smoked to start vaping. I can almost say that to medical certainty. Nobody who vapes tries to bring in someone who has never smoked into the fold. Me personally, if I find out someone, like if I have a customer come in who doesn't smoke, but they're wanting to be cool, and this is of age people, people who can walk into a vape store legally, I try to talk them out of it. Yeah, we're there to make money, but at the end of the day, there's no point to it. Just to be cool, just to hang out. So I understand what they're saying, that as opposed to someone who never vapes, vaping can be harmful, but they're looking at this in the whole wrong way. This movement did not start. Vaping did not start because people who didn't smoke wanted something to do. That's not how it started. It started with a doctor in China who watched his father die. He smoked as well. He watched his father die from smoking-related causes, and he couldn't quit cigarettes, so he had to find a different way. And he did. He found a different way, and we have vaping. It looked a little bit different than what we do today, but that was the genesis. That was the beginning. This is not a product meant for someone to start. This is a product meant for people trying to quit something that is just fucking lethal. Just crazy lethal. And we know it's lethal, but it still persists. And the Greek doctor here made about the dumbest statement I've ever heard in my fucking life. I've heard a lot of shit. I'm almost 50 years old. I've heard a lot of stupid shit in my day. This one takes the cake. And now keep in mind, this is coming from someone who went to college, who became a doctor. This isn't some idiot on the corner living in a cardboard box or some shit, who dropped out in like second grade. We're talking about a well-educated, presumably smart person. And this came out of their mouth. And I quote, For those still stuck on the notion that vaping is safer compared with smoking cigarettes, the Greek doctor offers an analogy. You're comparing it to the most lethal thing known to man, combustible cigarettes. which kills more humans than any opioid or gun violence combined. That's a really unfair argument, because it's like saying, well, are you a good person? And you say, well, I'm nicer than the devil. Okay, that's pretty fucking stupid. I think we can all agree that that's pretty fucking stupid. In one sentence, he goes from being a very anti-smoking person to endorsing cigarettes. In one sentence. Are you a good person? Well, I'm nicer than the devil. Well, you know what? I'll go with the nicer person than the devil rather than the devil himself. That's what I would do. I'm not sure if I'm the only one there who would do that, but to me, if I have a choice, I'm going to go with the nicer option. And when you're attacking the thing that's nicer than the devil, you're promoting the devil. Instead of complimenting people or urging people to quit fucking with the devil, he's saying, well, fuck it. It's not as bad as the devil. And there is a whole group of fucking physicians in England who say that vaping is 95% safer. And actually, the number is closer to 97. They've updated that. 97% safer. 97% safer. And it's just like the devil. Just like him. So close. 97%, you fucking idiot. Jesus H. Christ, you went to school. You got your MD. Stupid people don't do that. How the hell? How does your head not comprehend this? To me, this is just shocking. And this is the problem within the entirety of the medical community. They got their ass burnt so hard on cigarettes because doctors were literally prescribing cigarettes to people. Literally. And now they're so gun shy that something comes along that's so painfully obvious to look at. Painfully obvious. When I go to the doctor, I don't have any health issues. I don't have high blood pressure, hypertension stuff. I don't have elevated cholesterol. My lungs are pretty much the same as they've always been. My brain function certainly hasn't diminished. What the fuck? What is wrong with the medical community in this country? Why are they so resistant? The answer, of course, is most of the time it's money. I found a bunch of the research projects that Dr. Jaspers and the Greek doctor have been a part of, but I could not find any information on who funded the studies. I don't know whether they were funded by university or funded by an outside group, or if the university was funded by a pharmaceutical, anti-vaping, whatever. I could not find the link. But I know that the Greek doctor is still listed on the American Heart Association as one of their contributors. And this is the same American Heart people who just got their ass burnt by that idiot professor out of, was it Stanford? I can't think of what his name was. Anyway, he's the dude who just got lit up because his research was flawed. And the American Heart Association took his study and ran with it. And now that the study has been proven to be bunk, they're all mum and shit. Which goes to show you can't trust some of these charitable organizations either. So at the end of the day, I put away Oh, and there's one other thing the dumbass Greek dude said. I'm sorry, I shouldn't call him dumbass. He just says really dumb shit. He says, again, electronic cigarette usage is not quitting smoking, it is still smoking. That is stupid. The definition of smoking is something being combusted. Nothing is being combusted. All there's like what 7,000 chemicals when you light a cigarette, like 300 something of them are carcinogens, and there's none in vaping. You can't compare the two. You just can't. And if you think you can, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to other people. And we have to ask ourselves, why are you lying? And usually it comes down to money most of the time. Not all the time, but some of the time. Most of the time. So, to wrap this up, let me check my notes here. Of all the research and floating around the interwebs that I could find, there is zero link between vaping and the coronavirus. Nothing. Smoking, yes. Vaping, no. And some stuff that you will hear when you're reading these clickbait articles is it's too early to tell. There's no proof. There's been no long-term studies. When in fact there have been long-term studies that prove that vaping is less harmful than traditional cigarettes. And that's what we need to take away. So if you're coming across someone who's saying, you should really quit vaping because you might get the coronavirus, no, you can't. Okay? There's no proof of that. So until there's proof, and if proof comes out, I'll be the first one to throw it on here. I'm trying to be fair and impartial about this shit, even though I vape. So like I says, Dr. Jasper, she made a valid point, and I think as a community we should step back from cinnamon flavored stuff, anything that has the formaldehyde in it. I really think that we should step away from it just for a health reason. This is a learning thing. We are still a relatively young industry, and we don't know everything. Everybody who knows everything is an idiot. Just take that to the bank, all right? Someone who knows everything doesn't know shit. And we're still learning about vaping. We know a lot about it, but there's 20 million different facets of vaping that we have to pay attention to. And from everything from the material our devices are made out of, what material the heating element is made out of, the wicking material, the ingredients in the e-juice, the batteries that we use, everything, the circuitry, everything. There's so much. And anytime we get some help from someone who says, well, wait a minute, I kind of found this, we should take it seriously. We shouldn't just dismiss them just because everything else they say is stupid or doesn't make any sense. We should maybe pay attention and look at it ourselves and see if it's worth is it worth our health to risk using this particular product. So that wraps it up. There is no link between coronavirus and vaping. If something does come up where it says that yes, there is a link, I will jump on here immediately and I won't stop vaping. I won't do it. But maybe you would want to. And that's really the point of this, is to give you the information to make the best informed decision that you can make. So this is Maniacal Vapes signing off. We'll see you.